Hi everyone. I've talked about this many times, but for those who haven't seen my previous videos, I feel like I've got to go over it again just to give full disclosure. I voted to remain in 2016 in the EU, and my reasons for it was simple. You can't have an in-out referendum without first defining what out is, because if you don't do that, my reasoning was, you're leaving yourself open to a bureaucratic nightmare where, let's face it, politicians are just going to be arguing with each other forever, and you're leaving yourself wide open to chaos in the future and almost inevitably further referendum. At least one, I said, possibly several. That was my reasons for remaining. Had I been given a deal itself with all the parameters of it to vote leave, I may well have voted leave. Well, Theresa May, who has basically said to the country, listen, it's my deal or it's no deal. Her deal being bloody awful, basically just puts us into an animated state for the next potentially 81 years, making it extremely difficult to actually invest in things like the national railways and take back control of the railways, which is something that Jeremy Corbyn wants to do. So it does put the kibosh on that. But it doesn't answer the question of Northern Ireland and the Hyde border. So it's sort of it's a stopgap, if you like. It's we're going to do this until we can figure out what we do next situation. That's what the deal essentially that she has brokered with the EU. And of course, one of the stipulations in this contract is we cannot leave this deal unless both sides agree to it. In other words, if we do find a better option in, 20 years' time, let's say we find a better option. So yes, we're going to have a much harder Brexit. We have solved the Northern Ireland issue now. This is what we're going to do. The EU can say, no, you can't do that, and not even give a reason for it, and we can't leave. So that's the situation. But what's happening is Theresa May, even though she hasn't got support for this deal in the House of Commons, and it probably won't go through the House of Commons, although that is yet to be seen. Although it won't go through, she's still pushing it. And she's saying, listen, it's my deal or it's no deal, and no deal is going to be far worse. This is a scaremongering tactic, is what it is. And it was rife in 2016. They all said that the seas were going to roar and the oceans were going to roar and the mountains were going to crumble and the sky was going to fall if we voted leave. It hasn't yet. We're 2.5 years down the line, but then again, we know further along with Brexit. So she was in the liaison committee, I think it's called today, answering questions, some tough questions for about an hour. But I just want to show this, I think it's about a minute and a half back and forth, because it really does highlight something important, I think, anyway.
Right, we're going to move on now to Yvette Cooper. Prime Minister, I know that you do rightly care about the risks to Northern Ireland's security. You also care immensely about and know about the security risks to the country and the economic risks to the country if there is no deal. So knowing you for 20 years, I just don't believe that if your deal goes down, you are the kind of person who would contemplate taking this country into a no-deal situation. Am I wrong?
So there's Yvette Cooper. I'll play the rest of that in a second. But there's Yvette Cooper, and basically what she's saying is to the Prime Minister is, listen, I understand that you say, hey, it's my deal or a no-deal Brexit, and no-deal Brexit is going to be worse. But I've known you 20 years, Prime Minister, and I don't think you will get us into a no-deal Brexit because of how badly things will go, or things are forecast if we do have a no-deal Brexit. Because obviously at the same time, this is the day after the Bank of England and Mark Carney came out with their list of forecasts with regards to what they think, how worse off they think the UK will be under all scenarios post-Brexit. All scenarios they forecast will be worse than if we stopped in the EU. Now, there's a lot of people out there, Boris Johnson is one of them, who've been very loud in saying these forecasts are never right, to which I'll say they have a point. And they certainly, very few people, certainly in the mainstream, foresaw the 2008 financial crash. Plenty of people actually in that industry foresaw it, but the press didn't make a big deal out of it. So, and the Bank of England for sure. But they say that GDP is going to drop 8%, house prices will fall 30%, commercial property prices will plunge 48%, sterling falls 25% below parity with the dollar, unemployment rises 7.5%. When the sterling falls below 25%, that basically makes imports 25% more expensive, imports like coffee, etc., that you have to get from around the world. Inflation accelerates to 6.5%. Bank of England benchmark rate rises to 5.5% and averages 4% over 3 years. Britain goes from net migration to net outflows of people. So GDP drops 8%. That is they're forecasting, therefore, a recession the likes of you and I have never seen in our lifetimes. Not unless you're about 80 years old. So, scaremongering, as I said. This could well be true. I've got no reason to disbelieve it. Could well be true. But they have been wrong about these forecasts in the past. So I thought I'd better leave that out. But you can see there, they're scaring us. They're saying, listen, this is how bad a no deal is. If you don't vote my deal through, or May's deal through, May's suspended animation deal, May's no man land Brexit, if you vote that down in the Houses of Commons, then we get a no deal, and that's going to be far worse. That's her tactic. But will we end up with a no deal, as Yvette Cooper is saying there? She doesn't believe the Prime Minister will actually do that. We'll play the rest of this.
It will be a decision for Parliament as to whether they accept the deal that I and the government have negotiated on behalf of the United Kingdom.
So she tries to obfuscate here. She tries to deflect the question.
I don't want to go over those previous answers. My issue is, I don't believe you are the kind of person who could contemplate no deal, even if you don't get this deal. I don't think you'll do it. I think you'll take action to avert it. Am I wrong in my judgment about you?
Well, I've had a number of questions now about what happens if. What I'm saying is very simple. My focus is on the vote that takes place on December the 11th.
That's fine. I was asking actually about whether...
I've negotiated what I believe truly to be a good deal for the UK.
Okay, and I understand all of that.
On the vote.
I was asking about the kind of person that I think you are. But let me then go into the specifics of the deal.
So that's as far as it went. But I just wanted to show you that little clip there. You can see Yvette Cooper is asking her, really, that's a tough question. Really? You're going to force us into a no deal? You're going to force us into that scenario? That's what you're going to force? What Yvette Cooper is obviously saying there is, no, it's a smokescreen, it's a bluff. Yvette Cooper is saying, you're bluffing, Theresa May, you won't do that. If the government does vote down your deal, you will do something to avoid a no-deal Brexit. And you know what? She might have a point. Because I've said all along, ever since the very beginning, there will be another referendum. It's almost inevitable. Why? Because we didn't define what out was first. Therefore, we need to actually make a decision. We can't let the government and we can't let people like Theresa May be the ones who define this deal. It has to be the country that accepts it. It has to be democracy that accepts it. I think Yvette Cooper was actually spot on there. I don't think Theresa May will force us into a no deal. I think this is a bluff. This is a scaremongering tactic to try and get her deal passing the House of Parliament. Don't fall for it. Because I really don't think it's as simple as deal, Theresa May's deal, or no deal when it comes to Brexit. I think voting down Theresa May's deal is a process that we have to go through to get to the next stage of whatever negotiations they're going to do next. Because another referendum, I think, is inevitable, and I've thought that for over 2 years, even to the days previous to the referendum in 2016. I've thought the same thing. Whether that referendum will be part of a general election, that very much could be the case. But I certainly don't think it is a case of Theresa May's deal or no deal here. I think it's a bluff. And I used to be a poker player, remember, so I should be able to spot these things. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and click the bell below so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. Independent voices like mine, I'm sure you're aware by now, are being censored across all social media platforms, so please like and comment on the videos. That really does help the channel out, and share the videos wherever you can to grow the audience. If you can, please support me on Patreon. You can do it for as little as $1 a month. I cannot do this without your help. I rely on your donations. Thanks very much for your support. It really is appreciated. Until next time, peace and take care.